Because of interest of time, I know we have like 35 slides to go on. I'll just allow those two to speak. Then now we can invite our tutor, or that is Lord, to take over. Then once we are done, then I will also allow other people to speak. Kindly allow us to do that way. So Lord, you're welcome. And if you have any topic, the previous topic that is challenging, just type in the chat. I will get it from there so that we see how next week we can go back to it. Lord, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Velma. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing fine. Uh, I'm also doing fine, and I'd like to first of all congratulate all of you uh, for reaching this far. Uh, this is the last session we are having on data analytics, but of course, it's not the last session in data science. So for those who are doing data science, I believe we'll still have more of these and we'll be able to still kind of meet and interact. So just like Velma has mentioned, because of interest of time, I see this document is so huge. Um, I tried making some summary, but then I was not able to do everything. So I believe at least you've had time to go through the documents. So if I skip some parts, because I'm going to be skipping some parts, for instance, I don't have to read all of these, like the message that these people are, that Aziza is sending to the team and all that. I'll just be getting into the key things that we're supposed to be doing. All right, so let's get into it. So basically, we've been trying to solve issue of water here. In Maji Ndogo, they're having, let's say, they're having water crisis, and from the past things that we've been going through, you realize that um, if some places have no water, and if there's water, then it's in limited quantity, to an extent that some people take quite a long time queuing for water. We've gone through all that. Uh, we've basically identified the issues that are in Maji Ndogo, and we tried coming up with solutions. And now at this particular point, basically, we already know the solutions that we need to implement. We know how long they may, we know how much, we have a budget on how much they might cost. It's not the actual budget, but based on our rough estimation, we can tell that probably maybe doing this is supposed to cost like this. Now, these data sets that we have here, or at least the data set you're going to use for these slides, they assume that, for instance, if you look at the project progress table, uh, there are columns for start dates and completion dates and all that. So basically, having those columns means that there are some implementations that they have started putting in place. Um, I think let's just open it. Uh, there are some places where they have started the implementations. Let's just go to the project progress table. Yeah, you can see date of completion. You also have date started here. So it means there's some places they have started implementing the solutions that were uh, that we had to come up with. And therefore, when we come back to the slides here, um, um, basically you realize that these are slides, the data set spans like 1 year. That is from We're assuming now it's from 2022 to 2023. So that's a span of 1 year. And then there's also another section where we have a data set for up to 2024. So we are going to analyze for this 1 year, and then we are also going to add on top of that other uh, the one up to 2024. So that's basically for 2 years. And then from there, of course, now you can continue the analysis because we don't know the exact time they are going to finish everything. All right. So I think let's get into it. I'm not going to read all these. You can read these. Now, there's an interesting part here where this person is saying that I noticed my Power BI is getting a bit slow. So if you use these steps will help optimize your Power BI file a bit. So basically, if your Power BI is getting slow, because you see the more you're doing these things, basically you are inserting more and more data. When you create columns, that's a whole data set that is added into your table. When you create the visuals, so the Power BI kind of gets heavy. So that might contribute to it being slow. So they're suggesting maybe you delete some columns that you're not using at the moment, tables and all that. Like here, they're saying you're welcome to remove the following columns. You have address, province, and comments columns from project progress table. We also have dates, biological description, and pollutant ppm columns from well pollution, address column from locations table also, because I don't think we're going to use all these in this particular data set. Also, you can remove the Q composition table and water source related crimes table, because here basically we are working on trying to improve the water sources. So Q composition really it doesn't matter a lot. Related crimes also doesn't matter. So feel free to remove these if your Power BI is a bit slow. Next up, you have to update the data set. So there's a data set that has been sent to us here. And also they've told us now we need to replace this with the one that already exists, the one we used last week. If you update your data set, you'll realize that this new data set has some other new columns. So they say if you replace the Excel file you have, it will load the new data into our model. But remember, this might break our report from last time. So to avoid that, you can store the Excel file somewhere else and then edit the data source settings in Power Query Editor to link to the new location. So if you're downloading this, let's assume the previous dataset was in the downloads folder. If you are to download this, you might probably want to change the folder. You might download it to a different folder. For instance, you can download it in the documents folder or something, just to avoid confusion and the conflicts, because these files have been named the same. Make sure your model loads correctly and that there are no errors, and look at project progress. You will notice some new columns. So you'll notice some new columns, of course. All right, so I had loaded this data, but let me just show you how to do it. So to load or to update the data set, of course, this we assume in this case uh, the data set we had infrastructure codes, all these tables in it. We want to load the new data set which has some other added columns, like for instance, and then some other columns have also been removed. So you come to the transform data, just on the home tab here, transform data, you click on this small arrow. So when you click on it, we have transform data and data source settings. You click on the data source settings, and then you come and click on change source. So when you click on change source, and then browse. So when you click on browse again, you'll be able to go to your file system, and then you get the data source from wherever you downloaded it. So after that, you just come back and you click OK, and then you close, right? That is how you update the data, so the data with the current, so that you can have the current data. Um, the next here they're saying, okay, they've said that province is gone, so that is the province column is gone.
Lord,
Uh, yes.
Lord, just before you continue,
Mhm.
Esther has raised her hand. Esther?
Yes, thank you very much. Please, I'm stuck on that. I can't see that oak. I've tried to upload that thing like 30 times and I can't see that oak. It just says close. Please.
You can't see what?
You see, you have said when you change to the data source, it asks
Mhm.
you oak. Mine has
When
no oak.
you click
It
on
just
this
says
arrow
normal.
here and then data source settings,
Yes.
and then we have a
Mhm.
URL that's supposed to lead you to the okay, currently this is connected to this. This one is in users, Abiola, downloads, and then the name. Now when you click on change source here, change source and then browse. Are you able to see this screen here?
Yes, I can. I can also see it on my laptop.
You can see it on your laptop.
Yes.
Um, the file is an Excel workbook, right?
Yes.
Now, when you click on browse, are you able to navigate to where you downloaded your dataset?
Yes.
And then when you load the data, what happens?
Now the problem is I don't see this oak and that cancel. I only see the close.
Um, okay, I don't know if maybe we can get into a meeting after this so that we can see how to go about it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, I'll
All right.
appreciate.
Yes, before you continue, Lord, I think there are people who have raised their hands. We have Lord Samson, just like you, like your name, and Michael. So, Lord, first.
Okay, good evening. I wanted to say that when my namesake, Lord, was concluding on the importation of the or editing the data source settings, when he said you close, I didn't hear him saying that after you close, you see at the top there will be apply settings, and therefore you have to click on apply settings to make so that the new data you've connected will be applied to the dashboard or to your work that you have done. Because if you don't click on the apply settings, it will not take effect. So unless you apply, click on the apply settings before it will take effect. That's what I wanted to add.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, even though for mine here, it didn't have to click apply settings. It just applied automatically. But I think that's also an important point. Um, um, if yours doesn't take effect, I think probably you need to click on apply settings. It will appear on top here. So you'll just have to click on that. Velma, you also said somebody else raised their hand.
Yes, Michael. Michael.
Yeah, Lord. What I want to understand is that is it that you trying to use two options to actually tackle the introduction of the whole thing altogether? Because it looks like when I'm what I'm seeing on your dashboard is a new sheet that you trying to get the new data from there. But for me, if you wouldn't mind, I think the beginning of the whole thing, that's the loading and the taking away the irrelevant. That is editing the document itself is one of the most important things. So if maybe we can address that, not to jump that, because it looks like if not, then whatsoever that you do afterwards, I don't know if for me I'll be able to understand it.
Okay, so you want us to do an editing of what?
Okay, so I noticed that if you check the slides,
Yes.
they made certain recommendations that needs to be done before the new data is loaded, or probably they also gave us a new data that we can load. And when you load that new data, you realize that there are certain columns that they were already recommending that you delete. And so for me, I tried doing that, and as a new Power BI that I'm opening, not from what your dashboard is. I don't know if you get me.
Okay. So I think from my understanding, you're trying to say you want us to delete these ones they recommended us to delete. For instance, the address, province, and comments columns.
Yeah, for mine, it's been done, but I'm asking. So when I load the new data that they've given me, and I continue from there, is it also correct compared to what you are also showing? That is what even Lord earlier stated, that you have to click on the close and apply. I'm sure that has to do with the new data if you are loading it straight to Power BI.
Yes. Okay, so I think when you load this one, the new data set, if you load it to Power BI, it comes with these columns removed, the ones they've recommended us to do here. Okay, what you can do, you can decide to load it per table, or you can decide to load it as a whole. But I think what the other Lord mentioned, that you have to click on apply changes so that the changes can take effect, is important. Like I mentioned, for me, I didn't have to click on apply changes. It just updated automatically. And I actually had to confirm if the columns, that is, if they are truly updated. So probably I'm not understanding what you're trying to ask very well. Um, but maybe if you can repeat it,
Um,
I'll be able to.
okay, that's fine. I think when you're going forward, or if better still, could you please go through your tables so that if maybe we can compare with ours if it's in line with your tables, if you don't mind.
All right.
Just before you do that, Lord, yes, your namesake.
Yeah, Vema, what I want to say, I wanted to add is that with what Michael is saying, you see, with the new data set, even if you download it and you upload it, you connect it to your data source settings, and then you apply the settings, they have the tables that they ask us to delete, they are there, but the data set is not inside. For instance, they ask us to delete the queue, whatever. You have it over there in the list of the Excel sheet, but you don't have the data as in the table. Like when you open the data set, you don't have the list over there, but you have it there. So when you update it, if you just take it off, so if you don't take it off and then you decide to update the new one, it will automatically take it off for you from the data set. So it will not have any effect in the sense that you are not going to use any of those that you are asked to take out of the ones you are asked to delete. You're not going to use any of them in the subsequent solutions or questions that you are going to answer.
Yes, yes, I think that is more clear. And that is why they actually uh, mentioned that you can delete them if you want to, because at this point you're not going to use any of the data from those columns. For instance, I think one of the columns was, yeah, I don't think at this particular point we are not even using the water source related crimes table. So that is why they're actually suggesting that we actually remove the table just to lighten up our Power BI. I don't know if that answers Michael's, especially the way Lord has explained it.
Yes, okay. So I'm getting it a bit better. But one more thing, please. When you have certain columns in a table with the empty cells, is it okay to continue with loading the data after deleting all the necessary tables that you've been given?
If you have empty columns in the new data that you've loaded,
No, empty cells in the column.
if you have empty cells in the
So
column,
I'm looking. Yes, please.
you are looking at.
So I was looking at the project progress. I realized that under the date of completion, that is the new data, I was seeing almost the empty cells to be about 97%, and the valid is just 3%. That is when I was transforming the data, doing the editing from there. So in this scenario, I mean, could you continue to load the data, or you need to do something with the empty cells?
At the moment, you don't need to do anything with the empty cells because remember, this is project progress table. So, for
Okay.
instance, the people who are supposed to install arrow filters, they're the ones who are supposed to fill the date of completion column. So, that very time upon which they'll finish whatever they're supposed to do, that's when they are supposed to fill the columns. So, that's why you can see we have some blanks and then we also have some that have already been inserted. So it's not us who are supposed to fill these. They are assuming that the people who are supposed to do the improvements are supposed to fill these. That is the date of completion and also source status. Once they're done, they're supposed to change this to complete. Remember, this one was backlog and complete. So they're supposed to also change it to complete. And then they need to indicate the dates upon which they completed such the improvement.
Okay, that's okay, Lord. I hope there is no any more questions so that we can now dive in. Just you can just type in your questions. Lord will give us a chance now to ask the questions. Lord, you can continue.
Okay. So I've loaded the data. Don't be afraid if you find some blanks on the new data that you've loaded. They are there intentionally because probably they're supposed to be used in the future, right? Um, you can see in the project progress table here, we also have like assigned vendors, so it's also empty. And I believe some are not empty. You can see here. If we just click out on blank and then you press OK, you filter out blank, you can see all these are here. So if you just filter by, let's say, either source status where our source status is complete, you'll be able to see the completed projects, who did it, the date they started, the date they completed. I think comments was optional. You can comment or not. Budgeted improvement cost, everything. So when you filter, you are able to see everything based on the filter. Some columns are supposed to be, we are assuming because it's not we, the data analysts, who are supposed to fill the date of completion column. It is the people who are doing the improvements. So once they are done, they're supposed to indicate the date. If they have a comment, they can give a comment and all that. They also need to indicate the date they started and all that. Um, all right, I think we can continue now. So yeah, they say make sure your model loads correctly and that there are no errors. And look at project progress. That is the project progress table. you will notice some new columns. So when you load the data, you realize that province is gone and town has town names, but now Amina and Harare have the first letters of the province at the end, so we know which Harare we're talking about, and rural areas are also now appended with the name of the province. Uh, this is updated in the location table too. So they have appended the town names and also the rural names. So for instance, if a town is in a rural, you can see this one, for example, is rural Akatsi, like that, like that. Don't know if we can. So if it's not in a rural area, then it's just the town name. So there are some changes they have made uh, uh, on the tables, basically for purposes of helping us with the analysis we are about to do here. And then they're saying that this update will break the budgeted improvement cost column in the project progress table we calculated last time. So we're supposed to replace our ducts with this one that they have provided here uh, to avoid the breakage. I think in the previous one that we wrote, I think it was last week, I did not have these rural and then asterisks and all that. So I think this one you can just copy and then paste it there. Budgeted improvement, or what was the column name again? Budgeted improvement costs. Budgeted improvement costs. Yeah, so you can see this is the one we wrote last week. So this is what they want us to update. And here we were looking at rural, but then this one has the rural and then asterisk. And then we also had two lookups, basically to look up into the infrastructure cost table and all that. So we'll just replace this with the one they have provided and then commit. So once that is done, you calculated rural adjustment cost column in infrastructure. Your calculated that one in infrastructure may have a different name than mine. I think we just use the same name they have used. There are also new columns, that is the date started, which records the date an improvement started, and then date of completion, which shows when the project was completed. We have cost, which is the actual cost of the project in US dollars. And then this cost is the amount paid to make the upgrade. So it includes all the other expenses like travel costs, materials, and labor. Um, in an ideal world, this would match the budgeted improvement cost column we created to budget for the project. Assigned vendor, an ID of the vendor that made the upgrade. So all these, we have seen them in the project progress table. These are the new columns that have been added in uh, onto the project progress table. We have the assigned vendor column. We have date started. We have cost, date of completion, and all that. So those are the new columns that have been added into the data set. So we need to make sure that all of the data types are correct and the dates are set to dates in the format of year, month, and date. If the date filters, uh, if the date filters are going to make, uh, what if the date filters we are going to make don't work, then check this step again. So we need to update the columns. I think this is important. Basically, not only the date columns, but if we are able to do this for the date of completion, this is date time. I think that is correct. We need so date of completion is recording date time. Um, date started is also recording date time. Assigned vendor, these ones I think are just okay. Improvements, comments. I think these ones are okay. They're mostly text. These ones are also okay. Okay, I think we're mostly interested in the project progress table, which so far the columns are okay. Finally, check the relationships and the directionalities. What should the water source to project progress relationships be? This may have changed when we imported data to make sure these are correct and what we expect. So we need to also check the relationships to ensure they are okay. Relationship, we go to the model view here. Mhm. Composition, water source, project progress. This is okay. I think these ones are okay. Probably we'll add. Okay, this one had already been added, but we are going to talk about that one later. Mm. Next up, vendor IDs are a little impersonal. So if you import the Excel file again, you'll see a table called vendors. We won't use it, but here you can see who the heroes are on the ground, improving the lives of our people. So this vendors table, you can import it independently. So you choose the vendors table only and import it into the data model. Make sure it imports correctly, and you will see information like the company name, who owns it, and what they do. So vendors table also, you can just import it the way we normally import the normal data. Just click on here, get data, and then the Excel. Once you've connected to an Excel sheet, you will choose the data set, and then instead of selecting all the tables, you just select the vendors table, right? So I'd imported also the vendors table here, which basically has the companies that were doing work here. So we have the company name. We have first have vendor ID, which is basically like the unique identifier. We have the company name, and then owner name, basically the person who owns the company, and then company type. Okay, so that is the vendors table. So these are the types of companies. For instance, groundwater extraction team drills wells, water distribution system installation teams install taps, our water purification system installation teams install the UV and the ROL filters. Our civil infrastructure assessment teams are working on the broken infrastructure. So these are the types of the companies that we have and also what they do, right? Uh, um, so if we check the data in the project progress table again, for each project, we know if it is complete or is still in the backlog. And once it is complete, we can see which team worked on it, when the team started working on the project, when they completed it, and how much we paid them for the improvements. We have all of the other data we had before, so we are going to make some amazing things. Okay, so on the project progress table, um, if you check at the source status column, we have backlog. Let's filter it. So we have two main things here. That is backlog, means still there's still work to do and then we also have complete. So if you filter out backlog, you can see these ones are all completed projects. So complete, and then date started, which indicates the date when they started working. Our date of completion is the date they finished. We also have cost here, which is the amount they were paid in dollars. Uh, Amount that they were paid in dollars, yes. I wanted to change this to currency. Okay, let me go back to Power Query Editor and change it to currency. Project progress. Oh, here is cost. So this cost, I want to change it to currency. All right. Mm, I can't seem to find currency here. Oh, okay, I've seen it. Oh, it's text. So this is supposed to be decimal number. Okay, good. Now change this to dollars. Yes. Okay, so those are the projects that have been completed. If it's not completed yet, you can see the status is backlog. So we need to think about the stories a bit before we make the dashboards. So basically, the main thing we want to do here is to create a dashboard that should be accessible to public and also decision makers. So for the public, these are the things they're mostly interested in. That is how the project is going, which source has been completed, which one has not been completed, the money that has been spent, where the money was spent, and also what the money was spent on, and maybe details about towns. And then for decision makers, they need to know how far the project is, the money they have spent so far, and where the money has been spent, what the money has been spent on, and then also will they have enough money to complete the project, where they can cut on costs, and also data. They want to be able to see data at national level, provincial, and also at town level. So we need to create a dashboard that will be able to illustrate all of these. Um, I think most of these things are almost common. For instance, how the project is going, or something like how far the project has gone. That is basically something that both the public and decision makers would want to know. How much money has been spent and where the money has been spent, also almost the same. So basically, that is why we'll just be creating one simple dashboard that is able to communicate all these stories. So this is the layout of the dashboard. Basically, we have map. This map of I think these are towns, map of towns, and then we have the different sections where we'll be inserting our visual elements. So that is basically what I built here. That is this thing we are having here. I've not done any visualization yet, but we are going to do our visualizations here. And I created it on another page just uh, next to the visuals we had the previous week, that is last week, for national and then each and every province. All right, so before we create these visual elements, there are things we need to do. I think there are calculations we need to perform. So I want us to go through these and do the calculations, and then after that, I think we'll be able to come up with very good visuals. So here, they're mentioning the main visuals that I want. That is a map that will show how far along the project is. So users should be able to see visually how far the project is. They should be able to select the town or a rural area and know immediately how the project is doing. Also, a cost tracking visual, that is like a key performance index or a KPI plot, is a nice option that will show how much we thought it would cost versus how much it is really costing, right? So KPI will be able to indicate how much uh, doing something or the project has costed versus how much they anticipated it will cost. So KPI in short is basically, it's like a visual, it's a type of visual that lets you be able to see how well something is performing against against maybe a target, right? For instance, we targeted that drilling a well is supposed to cost maybe $1,000, but then you later, or as you start working, you later on realizing that it's expensive than you thought, right? So we also need a KPI, and then you also need a breakdown of the cost of the project so people can see where the money was spent. And then there are some summaries there that they need. That is the project progress, percentage of project progress, that is percentage of how much work has been done. Also percentage of basic access to water, how many people are affected by the changes, and also how far to go before the project is complete. So these are the uh, key things that we want to be able uh, to visualize or to include in this particular dashboard we want to build. Okay, so to make the new and improved maps, you're going to need this shape map, which is basically a JSON file. Let me download these. As we downloaded really. Oh, okay. That one has downloaded. So after downloading that, okay, so the town column in project progress is the column we use in the location well. So if you drag if you drag source status into the color saturation well, you should see it like, oh, I think this one is supposed to do in the after loading the map because this color saturation well. Okay, let's load the map. Then I think we can continue from there. So this map, I think we're going to use, because I'm seeing it's a map of towns. A map of towns. So we need to use towns instead of the normal province name that we've been using. So do we use these towns? Okay, let's start with that first and see what happens. Map setting. This one should be custom. Then browse. Was it in the downloads? I believe. Yes. Okay. So we have that. We have that. I think I'm going to remove the title. Yes. Let me remove the background as well. Okay. So this is the map of various towns. You can see if you hover over the map, you're able to see the different towns. For instance, this is Zuri. This is rural Hawassa. We also have this one is what, Jen or Jene or whatever how you spell it. I don't know. So we have that, and then there's an instruction they gave us here. They said the town column in project progress is the column we use in the location well. So we've added the town column onto the map, and you are able to see the different towns. And then they're saying if you drag source status into the color saturation well, you should see it right up. So if we drag source status into the color saturation. So we need to add source status, the source status. Yeah. So this is count. So you can see some small changes. So this is color blue, I believe. So this is rural Kilimani. You can see count of source status is 4,033. But then if you look at this one is 2,928. So the more bluish it is, the more mm, the the status count. Uh, this one is 200, 655, and all that. Okay, let's see, get more instructions. This now just shows us how many water sources there are in each location, not their actual status or how many are complete. So that one, the whatever we've added there just shows how many sources are in a given location. So we need to create a measure to make this visual effective. We need the same data for the project progress percentage metrics too. So let's make a new measure. The problem is that the measure we create this time needs to interact with the location and the date filter properly. The calculations are simple, but the filters are going to complicate things. So we need to calculate the project progress percentage, right? So to calculate project progress percentage, we need to calculate the number of complete projects divided by all the projects. At a national level, it includes all the projects in Maji Ndogo, but not in Jen. Jen in this case is a town. So if we are to calculate the percentage at national, we include all the projects that are done in this particular country. Uh, so it will be the number of projects completed in Jen. Or they're saying, but for Jen, which in this case is a town, it will be the number of projects completed in Jen divided by the number of projects in Jen in total. So we need the measure to always take into account the town filter. All right, let's continue. Oh, okay, so they have given us that's again here for total improvements. So the total number of improvements is that one. You calculate, you count rows, all except project progress, town. Um, so first up, we have calculates. It lets us modify how we calculate a measure based on specific conditions, which in this case are set by two conditions, all except the project progress town column and all project progress date of completion. So calculate this one. There's a count rows, which is straightforward. It's just counting how many rows are in our project progress table. And now the interesting part is the all except project progress, that one. This bit is telling Power BI to ignore all filters except for the ones in town column. So no matter what other filters are applied elsewhere, the only one that will apply is the town column. Adding a date slicer as a filter will create problems. When we change the dates, the rows are filtered by date, which means we don't get the total number of projects. What we get is the total number of projects in the project progress table. But if we select a town, it calculates all of the improvements in that town. Okay. So I think we need to incorporate this, that is the total improvements. And then after that, uh, we need to calculate number of completed projects also. All right. So this one is provided. I think we'll just copy and paste total improvements. Mhm. It's a new measure. So these ones have been provided. That's why I'm just copying and pasting them. Oh, total improvements. Okay, so that is there. Let me see if I can know the total improvements. Oh my God, oh my God. So let's have a card, total improvements. So we have total improvements there. I'll just keep them there for now. And then another thing we need here is the number of completed projects. So what is the most reliable way to know whether a project is complete? We can count the number of rows that satisfy the condition for a project being complete. You should get a number of 29. So we need to calculate number of completed projects. Number of completed projects. Okay. So we can use this particular column here because it's here where we are able to tell if a project is complete or not. So if the status is complete, then we can tell that uh, a project has been completed. So from this, we need to count the number of rows where the source status is complete, right? Of course, these ones are few. You can count them like this, but then that will not be ideal. So we need to be able to calculate number of completed projects using this formula here. That is number of completed projects. Calculate. So basically, we are counting rows. That's the first thing here. Count rows. Of course, we are counting rows for the project progress table, where the source status is complete, right? And then remember, there's a part up there they mentioned about filtering with towns. So all except towns. I think it was when we change the rows are filtered and no, not there. There's a part they mentioned about filtering with towns. Yes. So we need to measure to always we need the measure to always take into account the town filter, right? So that is the last part here, which basically filters with towns, right? So we have that there, number of completed projects, which I also just want to put up here. So we can just have it there if that's all we need to use it. So number of completed projects, you can see there it's 29. So you should get a number of 29. Now that we have that, go ahead and calculate the percentage. PCT project complete. Remember to format it so it will show up as a percentage with no decimals. With no decimals. Your value should be 0% at the start of the national level, but that one, for example, is 1% done. Check that your values are the same as mine and add them to the dashboard as cards. So we need to also calculate the percentage of projects that have been completed.
Sorry, Lord. Sorry for interrupting.
Mhm.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, can I see the column? That's column for the calculation you just did. Number of completed projects, please.
This one here.
Okay. Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. So we have this is the number of completed projects, and then we also need to calculate the percentage of projects that have been completed. So I had started doing this thing. That is why some of the columns have already calculated here, but I don't think I finished it. So some of them will be able to do them practically here. So to get the percentage of completed projects, you basically need to know the number of projects that have been completed, and then we need to divide by the total, right? So that is why for percentage projects complete, we have divide. So we are dividing number of completed projects by the total improvements, and then of course on top is zero there. So when we do that, we should also get the measure, and then I think we can just add it here, percentage. So it's 0.00. We need to format it so that it doesn't have what is it called? It doesn't have decimal points. I want to put it in the middle. And then here data formats. Whole number, no decimal. Yeah, percentage. 0%. So 0% basically means nothing has been done, or at least very little has been done, to an extent that we are not able to get a full a rounded figure percentage. So it's probably might be 0.00 something percent that has been done. So that's why we are getting 0%. And then, but Seroe, for example, is 1% done. Seroe is a town, I believe. Will we be able to search Seroe in this map? This is Jen. Oh, this is Seroe. Okay. So when you click on Seroe, you can see it's 1%. When you click on Seroe, you can see percentage completed is 1%. So that is actually good. So percentage that has been completed in Seroe is 1%, but nationally it records 0%. I added another metric there, more sources to go. So you can calculate that on your own. So more sources to go. All right, so we need to calculate more sources to go. Now that we know the number of projects that have been completed, we also need to know number of sources that need to be improved. So most sources to go, we basically have the total of everything that is supposed to be done, and then we subtract the number of completed ones, right? We want to know, we already know the number that has been completed. We know the total improvements that are supposed to be done. So to know the ones that are yet to be done, we basically take the total and then we subtract the number that has been done already. So that is what basically this one does here. You take total improvements and then you subtract number of completed projects. So we also have that one. I think we can also include it as a card. More sources to go. How did I name it? So for more sources to go, we have 25,000. We have that one there, 25K. Now we also have a good metrics to show progress on the map. So use percentage project complete as a color saturation variable. Since we use percentages, the visual will scale better, so the colors are now more informative than before. Percentage project progress complete. So we need to use this on the map. Yes, so when we add the percentage project complete on the color saturation, you can see the changes. So we have the percentage of completed project on each and every town within the map here. We have this one, Lusaka is 0.01, which records like 1%. Rural Kilimani is 0.00. Almost every part is 0.00, except a few of them here that you can find. Maybe this is 0.01. This one 0.00, 0.01, like that, like that. Okay,
Lord,
yes,
before you continue, Kehinda has raised her hand.
okay.
Sorry, Lord, please, that's for the last calculation.
For the last calculation, you're supposed to know the number of sources that are yet to be
Oh,
completed. Yeah.
yes, the
So
DAX.
yeah, this is the number of sources that are supposed to be completed or that are yet to be completed. We already know the total improvements, and then we've also calculated the number of completed projects. So what we need to do is, if we know the total projects that are supposed to be done and also the number that has been completed, so the number that are yet to be completed is basically taking the total to subtract the ones that have been completed already. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So towns like Zuri, Mrembe, and Iskala are gray in mine. What does that represent? Then there are colored towns in mine. What do these colors represent? So hover your mouse over them and also add some information like number completed into the tooltip to make it more informative. So I think um, we can tell that from the map here, these ones that are showing colors, basically, it means it indicates some percentage of projects that have been completed or at least that are ongoing in these particular areas. So the more the blue color or the color you're using in that case, then the more the number of or percentage that has been completed, right? They also said about adding to our tooltip something. So we need to add the number to our tooltip. So when you add the number to a tooltip, it basically indicates the number of completed projects. So for instance, this is rural Kilimani. It shows 2. This one shows 6. This one is 1, like that, like that. But then we also have some parts that are gray. For instance, in Zuri, town like Zuri is gray. This one is gray to show that nothing has been done in these particular locations. Okay. And basically, I think it's majorly in towns where it indicates gray. So it's like we're assuming in towns they have not started doing anything at all. Right. Next up, we calculate the basic access to water number. We did something like this last week, but now we need to do it in a way that includes the new water sources. So rivers were replaced by wells. Wells are clean once they are complete. So these citizens now have basic access to water from an improved water source. So basic access to water should basically be total, should be population with basic access plus population improved divided by total population. So we have this one here for calculating total population, which we need to fill in the blanks. So calculate, and then you have water source. Basically, it means you are getting it from the water source table. And then you need to insert the column you're using here. So this is supposed to calculate the sum of number of people. So um, from the water source table, water source. Yes, so this is the formula here. So we need to calculate sum of number of people. So basically it means this is supposed to be sum, and then from the water source to get the number of people, we basically use the column for the number of people served, right? So again, we need to add a filter for towns. So that is why we use again all except here, all except project progress, and then the town column, right? So we are filtering these, we are filtering the number of people based on the towns. That is what this formula basically does. Okay, since I had calculated most of these things, all right. So this one calculates the number of the total population, and you can see here they've said only keep town as a filter. So all except the town there. So we are filtering based on towns almost everywhere. So you should get 28 million people for population of Maji Ndogo and 3 million people for the population of Kilimani. Make sure it updates correctly. Do you see that the total population calculation works just like the total improvements one did, but we just aggregate using a different method. So this one should give you 28 million for the total population of Maji Ndogo. And then if you specify on Kilimani, then you should get 3 million. I think we can include it there as well. Let me just include them up here. So another card for total population. So this is oh, sorry. This is the total population, which stands at 28 million. And then if we filter by Kilimani, Kilimani is here. So if you click on Kilimani, you can see it changes to uh, 3 million. So that one also gives us the correct value. It also gives us the correct value there. We also need to calculate population with basic access. Calculate population with basic access. Last time we used a column to classify sources as basic or not, then added the rows. Since our dashboard is slowing down, let's use some DAX magic to put it into a measure all in one go. This way, Power BI doesn't have to store all of those strings in the table and all that. So I think this one last week we calculated it on columns, but then they needed to be a measure to calculate population with basic access. So I think you guys can remember from last week, right? When we were struggling to write this thing out, so that it can appear on one of the columns there. So this time you're supposed to use it as a measure. So basically, you just need to copy and paste the formula there, and then you commit, and then you'll be able to get the population with basic access. So population with basic access. You can have population with basic access there stands at 9 million. 9 million. Much more complex than last time. Okay, we'll not get into that. Now calculate the number of people who will have access to basic water once the water source is improved. Calculate the number of people who will have access to basic water once the water source is improved as population now basic access. Make sure that the column you use to filter with will accurately show if a source is improved or not. You should get 10,760 people who now have access to basic water, excluding everyone who already had basic access. So we need to calculate the number of people who will have access to basic water once their water sources have been improved. And then we call it population now basic access. Okay, did I calculate this one? Okay, so I did not calculate this one. I believe it's supposed to be in this table. I have basic water access percentage, number of people served and all that. So we need to calculate, okay, what were they calling the name? Calculate number of people will have access to basic water once the water source is improved as population now, basic access. Population now, basic access. So we want to calculate these. So to calculate these, what do we do? Hmm. Population with basic access after water sources have been improved. Um, let's see, water source. Water source. Okay, so from this water source table, we have this column for basic water access, which basically indicates if a water source is basic uh, uh, or 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 not. For instance, we have this one is a well below basic. So we have basic access and then we also have below basic. Then we want the population that have basic access after water source have been improved. So if a water source has been improved, then below basic needs to change to basic access, right? Okay. Mhm. So I think we can use, we are going to need to use two tables because we have this one that records if a water source is basic or below basic. And then I think if we come to project progress, we have the source status uh, column here, which indicates if a water source has been improved or not. So basically, uh, if an improvement has been done and they have completed the improvement, then the source status indicates complete. If it is not, it indicates backlog, right? So what we need to do, I think we can sum the number of people from this water source. I think we are able to get number of people served from this column. There's a column called number of people served, which you already know, we've calculated. So we need to get the sum. We need to get the sum of number of people served. And then we filter it by, because we want to know the number of people will have access to basic water after water source have been improved. So this is my thinking process. We get the sum of number of people served, and then we filter it by below basic access, because basic access means their water sources have been improved already. Below basic, it means their water sources needs improvement. So we want to sum the number of people who have below basic access, and then we are going to go to the project progress table and then compare if the status source status is backlog or is if source status is complete, that is. So okay, let me check the models first. Water source and that one. Okay, so they are connected, so that is okay. That is okay. So we need to calculate the number of people served where their basic water access is below basic, and then we also combine it with the source status as complete to get the number of people um, who will have access to basic water after their sources have been improved. Okay, let me try writing that out. So it was called population now basic access. Okay, so let's calculate. So what we're calculating is sum. Also, we want the sum of number of people served. No water source. So we want the sum of number of people served. And then we also want what is this column called? Basic water access. So water source basic water access. No, yeah, basic water access. Basic water access is equals to below basic access. Okay. And then project progress. What was that column name? What was that column name? Oh, source status. And but then this one is supposed to calculate in the water source table, not this table. I'm seeing it appearing here. So I think let me just copy like this. Cut. It's supposed to be water source. That one is source status. So project progress, source status. Source status equals to complete. Source status equals to complete. So we get the sum of number of people served and also a sum of this population with below basic access. And then we compare if their sources have been complete. Yeah. Okay, let's run and see if we get the correct answer. Okay, that has run. So let's create a slice and then population now basic access 11K. What was it supposed to be? What was it supposed to be? 10,760. Okay, ours is giving us 11K. Let me try expanding it and see if it's going to give us the exact figure. Is it there? Where do I find that thing? Not here. Colored value. And this is font. Yeah, population now basic access display unit. Is it thousands? Oh no. Yes, very good. 10,760. 10,760. So I think we've gotten that one right. So basically, you get the number of people who have basic access, and then you check in the project progress table if their source status is complete. So that one gives us that. And then after calculating that, who already had basic. So this one excluded even who already had basic access. That's why we are filter. That's why here we are having this below basic access. So it excludes everybody who has basic access. It will only count people who have below basic access, and then it will also check if their source status in the project progress table is complete, right? And then it returns the sum. So after that, we also calculate the number of people that will have access to basic water once all improvements are complete, including those that had access already. PCT population now basic, and remember to format it to display a percentage. It should be 34% at the start, and if you select the town of Seroe in Hawassa, you should see 57% access. Percentage population now basic access. Percentage population now basic access. So, okay, we need to calculate now the percentage of population with basic access. So because at the moment, okay, let me just copy this percentage now basic access. Let me copy that and go with it here. So now we have these uh, uh, population who now have basic access of that their water source have been improved. So we have population now basic access, and then we also have population with basic access, because from the table here, from this table, you can see there are some people who have basic access here. So we have population with basic access. We also have population now with basic access. Basically, those are the people who have basic access of that their water sources have been improved. We also have, or we also know the total population. So we need to be able to calculate the percentage, right? So to calculate the percentage of that, we just want to calculate the percentage of the figures that we already have. So new measure. So to calculate the percentage, we need to get the population now with basic access. We add to the population with basic access. And then we also have total population down here. So we need to divide it like that. So we need to get the sum of population now with basic access and also population with basic access. We divide by the total population, right? So for that, of course, we use divide. And then what we are dividing is we want the population now with basic access, and then it's plus. We add to our population with basic access like this. So we get the sum of that, and then we divide by total population. We divide by total population. I think these ones should be there 0 just for formatting purposes. So the same, this one should give us 34%. 34%. So let's see, percentage population now, 0.3%. Okay, let's format it. But of course, you can see now 0.3%, I believe, is going to give us percentage. No, it's not. It's in general. It's in general data format. Then format is to percentage. Let's remove these decimals. Yeah, correct. So we have 34% there. That is the percentage of population with basic access now. So we've taken the population with basic access after their water sources have been improved. We also had the population with basic access already. Uh, Population with basic access are basically people or who have basic access uh, without us having to improve their water sources, right? So for instance, I think one scenario here can be taps in homes. Remember taps in home, we had taps in homes and then we also had taps in homes broken. So taps in home broken basically will need improvement because they're basically taps, but they are broken. But then taps in homes, they're not broken. So that is why we have the population with basic access already. And then now we have to calculate population with basic access after their water sources have been improved, right? So you sum those ones and then you divide by total population to get the percentage. And then after that, great. Now let's jump into costs. So we have all these that we've calculated, number of completed, total improvements. We have total population. We have population with basic access. After their water sources have been improved, we have the percentage of population with basic access. So we need to get the metrics on costs as well. And then I believe after that is when we'll be able to fill in our map like this. How? So the main thing we need to know about our finances is how much we have spent so far, uh, and whether we have spent more than we wanted to. Our budget from last time is our target, right? And ideally, we want to spend less than the budget. The KPI visual is an excellent tool to visualize this since it will track our progress over time. For this visual to work well, uh, we need a date slicer so we can select data between some dates. Add a date slicer to the visual. So we need a date slicer to the visual. Okay. So for this visual, we need to calculate two measures: running costs, which is the cumulative cost, and running budget, which is the cumulative budget. These numbers should sum up all of the budgeted costs and real costs up to date, respectively. For example, if you paid the vendor 100,000 on day one and 150 on day two, the running cost is 250 on day two. I believe that one is a simple sum you can understand what's happening here. Our calculations for cumulative budget should sum up all of the budget costs for projects with completion date less than or equals to the current date. Blanks are going to be a pain when we compare dates, so we need to remove them in DAX. Try to create this measure on your own first. You should get a number of that one for the data we currently have. Okay, so let's add a date slicer here first. Let's add a date slicer and then you can do the calculations and then we'll use it later. So is this slicer? We need the date. Is it? I think it's supposed to be date of completion. So we have a date slicer here that we're going to use. Okay, this thing doesn't want to move. Okay, so we have this one here. Date slicer. Okay, I think that is better. So we have a date slicer. So you can see here, this one starts 12. This is December 31st, 2022 to January 1st, 2023. That's a span of 1 year, right? That's a span of 1 year. Okay, so after adding the date slicer, we also need to add what? So we need to calculate two measures. That is the cumulative cost and then also the cumulative budget. Cumulative cost is basically the running cost, and then cumulative budget is the running budget. Our calculation for cumulative budget should sum up all the budget costs for projects with completion dates less than or equals the current dates. Blanks are going to be a pain, so we need to uh, compare dates. We need to remove them in the DAX. Try to create this measure on your own. You should first get a number like that. Ah, these are calculated cumulative budget. Some of the fields are blank. Okay. So we need to calculate. So now, this one is in the project progress table. New measure. So for this new measure, let's look at what he is trying to write here. So cumulative budget, we calculate sum, blank, blank, filter, all projects, all project progress, blank, project progress, blank is less or equals max. Yeah, less or equals the current date. Current date in this case is date of completion, and blank is blank. So we need to filter out, because I think up here they say the blanks are going to be a pain when we compare dates. So we need to remove them in the DAX. So that is why here is removing blanks. So if a column is blank, it's going to be removed. See, this line removes blank stroke null values. Okay. So cumulative budget. We need to calculate the sum. Okay. Let's see the table and look at what we need to calculate. Mm, I'm trying to find a column for money. This is date of completion, comments, aggregated info, budgeted improvement costs. So we have budgeted improvement costs. We want cumulative budget. Cumulative budget. So I think it makes sense to use budgeted cumulative cost. Okay. So when you come back here, so we need to calculate the sum of project progress budgeted cumulative cost, and then we filter. What can we filter? So blanks are not supposed to be included. All right. So this means we calculate sum of budgeted improvement cost, and then we don't want blanks in the date. So filter, you can filter date of completion. Is the date of completion? Filter date of completion. Oh my God, what have I done? Oh, okay. So filter all date of completion. Mhm. If we filter, we are trying to filter that date of completion column where they started. I think starting date, this starting date is less or equals date of completion. Okay, let's write it the way I'm thinking about it so that we can see if it's correct or wrong. So it's cumulative budgets. So cumulative budget we need to calculate. So calculate. So what we need is sum of budgeted improvements, right? So that will be the first thing. We need sum of of budgeted improvement costs. Is that what the formula was saying? Sum blank blank. So that is sum of project progress, budgeted improvement costs, and then you need to filter. Okay, so we are going to filter everything that has project progress date less than or equals to maximum of the date of completion, and also columns that are blank. Okay. So we get the sum of this particular filter here. So we are filtering because we need to filter project progress, date of completion. Project progress, date of completion. Wait, this comma is supposed to be here. I think it's supposed to be here. And then what was that other thing? Okay, that is correct. Project progress blank is less or equal that one. So here project progress starting date started. Project progress date of completion less than or equal project progress date of completion. Wait. Okay, let me finish first. Date of completion and what was the next part? And blank. We don't want blanks, so I think we can use not here. I'm not sure about this, but okay, let's see. Is blank. Project progress date of completion. Okay, let's see. We want the sum of budgeted improvement costs, but then we have to filter where date is less than or equals dated now, and then we also don't want blanks. Let me run this and see. Okay, it has run very well. It has run very well. Where is it? Cumulative budgets. 128,000. Let's see. Try to put this measure on your own first. If you get a number of that 128,450 for the data you currently have. 128,450. Ah, it's correct. Okay, let me format it. Cumulative budget. 128,450. Yes, but then we don't want these zeros. Yeah, 128,450. Okay, that is okay. Maybe we can format it as currency because it's budget, and then we change this to US dollars. Yeah, let's remove the decimals. Correct. Right now this one the dashboard is cluttered, but don't worry, we are going to arrange these things. I'm still doing calculations. So we got that one correct. And then to calculate cumulative costs, you can simply copy paste the budget and change columns to use the correct data. You should get that one. So this was cumulative budget. So to get the cumulative cost, I think we just need to change the column. Here we are using budgeted improvement cost column, uh, which is for the budget, but then for actual cost, we use the cost column here. So it means if you want to calculate the cumulative cost, we are basically just going to change budgeted improvement cost to cost. Every other thing remains the same. So let's calculate cumulative cost. No, I've actually, so we paste, and then this one is cumulative cost. This one changes to cost. That one changes to cost. I think every other thing just remains the same. Time for reality, cumulative cost. Uh, what was the figure? I believe it was 131 something. Cumulative costs. This is none. We change the currency, we change it to currency. This one is in USD. Mhm. So 131, 914, 91, 131, 914. Oh yeah, that is very correct. That is very correct. That is very correct. So you calculated that. Okay, to set it up, create a KPI visual and drag the cumulative cost into the value well, the cumulative budget into the target well, and project progress date of completion into the trend axis. Once these are set up, you should see a visual like these. So this is the KPI or the or the key performance index, like I mentioned, this is basically a type of visual that lets us see how well something is performing against a target. Um, okay, let's just create this. I think I need to know where this one was. Oh, it's down here. It's down there. So we need to add our KPI here. So I think let me delete all these and just remove it. Then let's add a KPI, KPI, KPI. Here's the KPI. This is our KPI. We need to add the cumulative cost and cumulative budget. Wait, let me just take a glimpse. Drag the cumulative cost into the value well and cumulative budget into the targets. Our target is cumulative budget, cumulative cost into the value well. And then after that, project progress date of completion into the trend axis well. Date of completion into the axis well. Let me put it here and then maybe make it look a bit nicer. We have that, and then drag that one into the value well and that one into the target and project progress into that one. Once these are set up, you should see a visual like this. This format is not quite correct, so we have to change some of the settings. First, you will notice that the goal is 98.70k dollars. The goal is 98.70k dollars, and we spent 131 that one. So we have spent more than we budgeted for, but the KPI is interpreting this as a good thing with a correct tick mark. Okay, I think that is what I'm seeing here. You see, we've spent more than we anticipated, but then it's showing us a tick mark here that it's good. I think we need to change something. To change these, change the trend axis to low is good. Next, change target label to budget. So we need to change the trend axis to low is good. We change the trend axis. We need to change the trend axis to low is good. So that one, we come to this format here. Trend axis, you see high is good, so we need to change this to low is good. Yeah, like that. I think that is okay. I'm still wondering why it's not showing me some more colors like this one. It should have this thing going diagonally like this. The figures are correct though. One 915. So let's change this figure into something other than the decimals. Colored value. Then remove the decimals. Not there. Where is it? Yeah, I think that is okay. That is okay. Okay. Value-wise in the figures I'm seeing here, it's okay, but then I'm not seeing something else. That is this diagonal line. You can see this part is somewhat reddish. The figures are okay. The exclamation mark, meaning we've surpassed the budget. Uh, Goal here is 128.45, negative 2.7%, 128.45 or 128,450. Um, that one. Hmm, what could be the issue? Date of completion.
Check the target label.
Check the label.
You're saying the target label?
Yeah.
This one just need to change it to budget like this. The percentage. Okay, I'll check into that some other time. Let's continue. So we've done all these. I believe we've just changed the target label to budget as well. All right. Now this visual communicates a bunch of things. Trend of the overall cost over time, how much money we have spent, how much we wanted to spend. With colors and icons clearly show whether we have overspent, that is the budget, or we spent less. We spent this was the goal, so we surpassed by 2.7%. Okay. Add metrics like people help, that is population now with basic access. Number of sources to still improve, which is total improvements minus number of completed projects, and use the aggregated improvement column from last time to break down cost by improvement type, per improvement type. So we need to get these ones, get your dashboard to have all of the follow, all of the visuals and slices I made. Make sure to format all values, titles and labels that are displayed, unlike mine. Number of sources to still improve, which is total improvements minus the number of completed projects. Is aggregated improvements column from last time to break down costs by improvement type. Okay. What do we have here? Aggregated improvement and then sum of cost. Percentage project complete, sources to go. Okay, I think let's create these ones and then we can see what to go to next. So I want to start with the percentage population now with basic access. I think we had calculated that percentage now. Where is it? Let me remove these ones because we've used them already. That is what we use to create the KPI here. But yeah, this is the percentage you're supposed to add here. So this one needs to come here. Percentage population now with basic access 33.59%. And then this one is below. Okay, let's do the necessary formatting just to make it look okay and appealing. This one should be centered. Let's put the label below value. I think the value is data format percentage. Let's add, yeah, we're trying to make it resemble whatever they have there as much as possible. So we have that, and then we also have people helped. Okay, I think we need to calculate that one first. So we're going to calculate it. Let me add these other ones first. Percentage project complete and then sources to go. Percentage project complete, that is this. And then sources to go. Sources to go, more sources to go. So more sources to go. We should also include it here. And then no layout, make it vertical. Vertical. Let me reduce the font size a little bit. And then these labels should be below. And then reduce the font size a little bit like that. Okay, that is good. We have the province name here. So this section is the province name. That is a slice, I think. So slice for province name. That is in the location province name. So we have the province name there. Let's format it. Slicer settings. Let's make it. Is it vertical or tile? Yeah, like that. So like that. What else do we need? We also have a column chart for aggregated improvements versus sum of costs. Aggregated improvements, sum of costs. A column chart for aggregated improvements and sum of costs. I think that is just okay. Not a lot of coloring. Then cost breakdown. This is cost breakdown per province. Cost breakdown per province. It's pie charts. Per province. So we have province name. Is it this one? Budgeted improvement cost of this. So cost breakdown per province, that is what we have there. Let's turn out these legends. This is costs, the title is costs. Okay, so this is what we have here. So what we need to calculate is now, oh, good, it's changing. Okay, so what we need is the number of citizens' lives improved. So we need to add a matrix like people help, that is population now basic access. Population now basic access now. Number of sources to still improve, which is total improvements minus number of completed projects, and use aggregated improvement column from last time to break down cost per improvement type. Wait, let me see something here. What's the figure here? 129. Okay. Install raw filters and repair infrastructure. Mhm. Population now basic access. So we need to add population now basic access. I think we calculated something like that. Yeah, population now basic access. So what kind of did we add here? Oh, they just need the figure. Population now basic access. So that's a card. Population now basic access. Yeah. So this one we should call it as people that have already been helped. They're the people who now have basic access to water. So I think they've called them here as people helped. Yeah, people helped. People helped. Yeah. Okay, so this is everything we have on the dashboard. Um, except that I don't know why my KPI is misbehaving here. I expected it to have some different colors, but then I don't know why it's not behaving correctly. But anyways, let's see. So let's recap if we've achieved the user stories we started with. So how far is the project? I think we can tell from this one. Um, we have the percentage of project completed, and also we have the number of sources that are yet to be completed. And we can actually filter by province. You can see, like, for instance, Sokoto, 6K more to go, 0% complete, and all that. Another thing here is how much money has been spent so far. So we can also know how much that has been spent. For example, nationally, you can see already 131, 915 has been spent. You can also specify by province, and then you can see how much that has already been spent. And it has been spent on what? For instance, in Sokoto, you can see this one is only in installing RO filters alone, right? This is the only work that they have done in Sokoto to install RO filters. But nationally, you can see they have already installed RO filters, and also they have started repairing the infrastructure, right? Uh, in Akatsi, for instance, you can see that they have installed RO filters and also repair infrastructure. But now look at how our KPI has changed now. Initially, it was reddish, and then we had an exclamation mark here, meaning we had surpassed our budget, right? But then if you look at a Akatsi, it's a tick, and this is the figure 44,947. Now, why is it a tick? Because our budget for Sokoto was 45,675, but then you can see we have not surpassed that budget, so we are within the budget. That is why it indicates that we are okay, we are good. So that one has been achieved. Where was the money spent? You can see from the graph here what has been done or where the money has been spent, right? So nationally, we spend the money installing RO filters and repairing infrastructure and all of that. Will we have enough money to complete the project? So this one we can get from our KPI, which is already able to tell whether we've surpassed the budget or not, right? Now, based on the amount you have, you can already calculate and tell that, okay, nationally, we've already surpassed the budget. Maybe if we just had the 128 million, then of course it means it's not going to be enough, right? So that is that. And then where can we cut costs? So this is the only thing that our visual is still not able to tell us. where we can cut the cost. And this is also a very tricky one, but we will see. I want to see data at the national, province, and town level. So at the moment, we can actually see data for national, province, and town level. This is the data for national. We can click on a province on the slicer here, and then we are able to view data on a provincial level, right? This is the Katsi, we have Kilimani, we have Amanzi, we have Hawassa, and we also have Sokoto. We can also view data on town level. So on the map here, you can click on any town. For instance, when you click on this is Amina in Hawassa, you can view the data per town. People that have been helped in Amina are 332. We have the KPI here very well and all that, right? So all that we can read and we can analyze from the dashboard that we have created so far. Now we need to go to the next thing here. Now, if you look at this is 4th January 2024. The data that we have been using here spans 1 year. That is from December 31st, 2022 to 1st January 2023, right? But from our slides here, we have a new data set, which actually goes up to 2024 or 0103, right? And then here's the visual again I made to show how the sources are being upgraded across that one. So we need to overwrite the last Excel file with this one, right? So, or link it as a new source. So we need to link this new one because this is now an updated data. So you'll realize that with this one, it may have, for instance, when we started, we were worried about the date of completion being blank and all that. So it means the new data that we have, we might have more of this date of completion having been filled, right? Currently, blanks I think are so many compared to these ones that have been filled. I think it was 29 years. So it means only 29 had been filled. But then when you load the new data, I think it might probably go more than that, right? So we need to load the new data. We need to load or override the this one. Okay, let's do that and then we continue from there. So I don't think I had loaded this new one. So let's just go to transform data source. I think I downloaded it and put it in the documents folder if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So these, okay. And then close. So this is what the other guy Lord was saying, that you can apply changes. You need to click on that. This one I actually had to click. The previous one I didn't have to click. It actually just went through. Okay, well that one is loading. I think we can read something here. So once you're all done, head back to your visual and be prepared. Your date slider expanded, and now we can select data up to 2024 with no extra modeling or no copy pasting results into spreadsheets. We have an update of our story. If we access an SQL database, it will even happen automatically. Everything is updated. So let's see what happens last year. We started at 34%. You can remember the percentage 34. Access at the start up to 48 now. That is massive. The project is 22% complete. So initially it was 0. That is a okay. Let me see if this thing has loaded so that you can see everything here. Correct. So I don't know if you guys were keen on this date slicer here. You see, it still reads 12 December 31st, 2022 to first to January 1st, 2023. But then the end date was on this other end. Now you see we can move our slicer and you can move it up to January 3rd, 2024. And then when I moved it, I hope you notice the changes in the figures here. Initially, percentage of population with basic access was 34%. Now it's 47.83. That's why they've mentioned in the slide it's 48. They've basically rounded it off like this. Now it becomes 48. People who have been helped, I don't know what this figure was, but now it's 4 million. Percentage of the project that has been completed was 0%. Now it's 22. Uh, and then more sources to go. That is the sources that are yet to be completed. I think it was 25K. I think, or we can just check. We can just go back to January 1st. Yeah, okay, this one is not changing. These other ones are changing. I don't know why this one is not changing. But I think it was 25%, 25K. This one is now 20K. And then let's take a look at this one here. Remember, by the time we were hitting January 1st, 2023, only RO filters and had been installed, and then a few of the infrastructures had been improved. But now you can see they have installed RO filters, they have installed public taps, they have drilled some wells, installed UV and RO filters, and also some uh, repairs of infrastructures have been done. So that is very nice. So let's continue reading. The project is 22% complete, so we still have a long while to go. If we got this far in 1 year, it will probably take 5 years in total. Okay, we are not interested. So the bad news is money. If you look at the KPI plot, we can see we're about 10% over budget at the moment. Okay, so if you look at the KPI, initially you were 2.7% over budget, but now look at this one here, minus 10.69%. All right, so we are 10% over the budget. Okay, the budget in this case was 35,23,050, but now it's 33,787 and all those many figures. So we've literally gone over the budget by 10%. If we look at the different provinces, we can see that Sokoto has taken large part of the budget, but we knew it would be expensive since we had to drill many wells. Basically, we had to drill many wells in Sokoto, so that's why probably um, the budget for Sokoto has gone really up. I think we can just check it out here. We can filter by Sokoto, and we can see Sokoto's budget has gone up by 14. I mean, we have surpassed the budget by 14.05%. Okay, I think it's the highest if you compare to these other provinces. I can see it's 10, Kilimani is 8, Amanzi is 8, Hawassa is 9. So Sokoto has surpassed the budget because wells had to be drilled there. At least that is what they are saying. Sokoto is a rough place with few roads, so it makes sense that it is so expensive for teams to work there. We didn't take that into account. Yeah. um, Open up a new visual page and create a key indicator visual. Think about what we want to analyze and what could explain the high costs. Examples could include the town, province, location type, or even the time it takes to complete a project. Calculate time difference with a column. a new visual, and then create a key indicator visual. So you need to think about what to analyze and what could explain the high costs. Um, Key indicator visual. Then we need to be able to explain why do we have high cost. So this is key indicator. Key indicator, key influence is this one. So we need to be able to explain why we have high budget, why we have high costs compared to what we initially had anticipated. So I think we need to use percent, what is it called? Budgeted improvement cost. Where is it? Yeah, I think it's budgeted improvement cost. So what influences budgeted improvement cost to increase? I think this is the what we want. We want to be able to know what influences budgeted improvement cost to increase. Maybe you can start with location type. So when you click on location type, these are the recorded level of the project or whichever field in explained by. I don't know why it's not giving us the correct thing. Sorry. Okay, I don't know if it's possible if you're using a key influence visual to be able to borrow columns from another table. I don't know if that's can really affect it. But here I'm trying to uh reason out or trying to think out loud and find out why is it that we are using more than we had anticipated. So I've selected on the budgeted improvement cost column and also the source type, right? To try and understand why the budget we had put in place has all of a sudden gone way more than what we anticipated. So here you can see that budgeted improvement cost is more likely to increase when source type is river than otherwise on average, right? So basically it means there's some types of water sources that are more expensive to improve than others. In this case, river takes the highest, followed by shared taps. Um, you can see the amount that we need to improve river is 6.6. For shared tap follows by 6.5K. So you can tell that based on the type of water source you're trying to improve, then of course there are cost implications. Um, Let me see if we can try and see mm, by town maybe. So by town, what we can see here is look at this section here. We have town is rural Sokoto, and then town is rural Akatsi, town is rural Kilimani. So the places that tops or that needs high amounts of money to do improvements are basically just rural. You remember for places that are in rural areas, we have to include the word rural and then the town name or the province name or whatever. If it's just a town, like for instance, uh, Amara, then it will just be Amara without including the rural word. So you can see improvements in the rural areas are a bit more expensive compared to cities or towns. Probably because maybe in rural areas you might find one well is maybe 1 kilometer apart from the other. So why the increased cost? Probably these people, after maintaining one source, they need to travel a lot and then to go to the next source and do the improvements. And in the process of traveling, of course, they have vehicles and machines. They need to transport them. They use a lot of fuel and all those other things. So basically, from this, you can tell that the budget increases, especially on rural areas, right? What else can we use for to be able to reason out and understand why costs have improved? Yeah, let's try improvement. So improvements here, we can see improvements in installing 8 apps nearby. I don't know how I can combine these ones, but hmm, yes, this is what I wanted you guys to see. Drilling wells. Remember in Sokoto, they've said there's a part there we've read that in Sokoto, uh, the improvements are high because there are very many wells that needs to be drilled. So it means probably the cost of drilling a well is way high compared to maybe installing an RO filter and all that. So if we ignore these other ones, because these ones we're supposed to have aggregated them under, I don't know, installing taps and all that, repairing infrastructure. But if you look at drilling wells, it tops here, or at least if you look at it here, this light bluish one, drilling wells. And then after that is when we have install RO filter, which is here, and then install UV and RO filter, and then diagnose local infrastructure and all that. No, I think we can actually use aggregated improvements or something. I think we had a column like that. Yeah, aggregated improvements. This is what I wanted. Yes, aggregated improvements. So you can see aggregated improvement is drill wells. So budgeted improvement cost is most likely to increase when the aggregated improvement is to drill well than otherwise, right? It's more expensive in drilling wells or to drill wells. And then probably you might find that where you are drilling wells, I think wells are mostly in rural areas. And then wells are very far much apart. So first of all, it takes a lot of resources to drill one well. And then another key issue is that these wells are very far apart. So you spend a lot of resources, and in spending resources, basically you use a lot of money. And then after that, you also need to travel very far to go to the next well and also do the drilling there. So this is how you can use the um, key influencer visual to basically try to reason out why some things are the way they are, right? Okay, so we could see from the key influencer that when we have to drill wells, it's expensive. We took this into account in our budget, so this is not for the reason of the high cost. Yeah, I think we've already explained that. When sources are in rural areas, costs are high, which we also took into account. When jobs takes long, costs go up. This has two components if you think about it. One is that certain jobs take longer. Installing 8 tabs at a location takes much longer than installing a filter. The second component of why a job can take long, this time it takes to travel to a new location, right? So you can use your key influencers to try to reason out a lot of things, right? Another thing here is create a new visual page and make several charts examining the effect of the average cost of an improvement and try to show the following results. New visual page, make several charts examining the effect on the average cost of an improvement. Effect of average cost on an improvement. It is almost twice. So these are the things they want us to do. It's almost twice as expensive to improve a source in a rural area compared to an urban area. It's almost twice expensive to improve a source in rural area compared to an urban area. Sokoto has very high average costs of improvement, both rurally and in urban areas. We are over budget in every province. We underestimated the cost of rural improvements in Sokoto. So we need to create like 4 visuals to examine these things. That is almost twice as expensive to improve success in rural areas compared to an urban area. That means I think we can compare, for instance, we can compare the average cost versus location type. Okay. New page, new page. I don't know how to name this page. Maybe you can call it costs. And then let's try a column chart to compare the average cost. We want the average. And then location type. Location type. It's twice as expensive to maintain rural. What was the statement saying? It's almost twice as expensive to improve a source in rural area compared to an urban area. This is 4, 7. This is 8. Yes. So of course this is true that it's quite expensive trying to improve rural sources compared to urban sources. It's almost twice because here if you look at the average cost for urban, it's 4,741. This one is 8,719. So it's almost twice, right? What other things they want us to compare? Sokoto has a very high average cost of improvement, both rurally and in urban areas. Sokoto has a very high average cost of improvement. So I think that one can have like average improvement cost versus province in rurally and in urban. And then we can add a slicer. I mean, a legend. Let's try to create that so we can have like average. This is supposed to be average. Then we can have province name, and then we can also have because they said Sokoto has the highest both in rural and in urban. So location type, I think we can also add as a legend. Yeah, very good, very good. So I think we can see from here that it's in Sokoto where everything is expensive. This is in urban areas of Sokoto. You can see improvement is still expensive at an average of 4,612, uh, followed by Kilimani, which is 4,093. But basically, Sokoto is expensive, improving all the sources in Sokoto, whether it's in urban or it's in rural area. Rural, you can see it's very high in Sokoto compared to all these others, right? Um, what's the other thing they want us to do? We are over budget in every province. We are over budget in every province. Uh-huh. We are over budget in every province. In every province. I think that one we can um, okay, let's try this. And then we have I think now here we can use budgeted improvement costs and then province name. I don't know if this is not going to give me what I want. Oh yeah, I think we can also include this one. cost. Hmm. What if we put them as average? No, we are over budget in every province. Every province. We are over budget in every province. Oh, okay. Good, good, good. I think it gives us the correct thing. So we have each and every province here. Then we have what it costs versus our budget. All right. So basically, what that person is saying is that they are over budgeted in each and every province. It means this, for instance, we have Sokoto here. The actual cost is 11 million, but then these people budgeted with 40 million. In Kilimani, it's 6, but then they budgeted with that 9 million, like that, like that. So I think that is what this one means. So I think this is okay. It at least gives us something. What else do you need to do? We underestimated the cost of rural improvements in Sokoto. We underestimated the cost of rural improvement in Sokoto. We underestimated the cost of rural improvement in Sokoto. Can we represent these? Okay, let me try this. Um, we can have these and these and these. We underestimated them. Okay, I think I'm not understanding that very well. We underestimated the cost of rural improvement in Sokoto. Underestimated the cost of rural improvement in Sokoto. Okay, what if we just have location type? Mm, mm, that is not giving me what I want. So we have budgeted improvement. Okay, location type. He did give me 2 lines.
Hello, Lord.
Yes.
You can try filtering by rurals.
Try filtering by. Okay, I have added the location type in the legend so that I can have two lines. But okay, let me try that one over here. You're saying we can try filtering by rural.
Like you can tap the rural in the first bar graph so that we see the changes in the dashboard.
This one here.
Yes.
Okay, so this one they are saying we underestimated the cost of rural improvement in Sokoto. Oh, okay, okay. All right, okay. I think this is okay because you can see it's in Sokoto. Sokoto is the highest in terms of rural improvements. Amanzi is the lowest. You see the line, the way it goes up. So Sokoto, sorry, Sokoto is the highest. So I think probably that's why they're saying probably they underestimated. Probably they put a figure that is not the actual one here. In this case, it's 8,000. Um, this is urban, but okay, in Sokoto everything is, but urban is 4,000. Okay, yeah, I think maybe that's what they mean because I'm seeing Sokoto is the highest here. But basically, Sokoto is highest in almost everything. Improving everything in Sokoto seems highest compared to the other provinces. Okay. Uh, while this data is useful to know, we can't do anything about it. Rural areas need larger vehicles that use more fuel. Sources are far apart, and there are many of them, but we can't change that. So we focus on finding a change we can make to make sure we stay on budget. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Rural areas, the sources are far apart, and then there are many of them. Uh, Plus also the machines needed to improve those sources are very heavy, and they also need a lot of fuel. Let's look at the vendors. If we see vendors that are asking too much, we stop using them. So we need to create a new page showing the average cost vendors are asking for improvement and sort the table from most expensive to the cheapest team. So we need to put a new page for vendors and then the average costs for improvements. Okay, so I think this page we can call it vendors. And then we need to create a page. So here we need to use the vendors table. So here we have the company name and then the cost of improvement. So we need to get the average cost. Average cost. Sort by highest. This is the same figure. Okay, did I connect these two tables really? I think these tables need to be connected. Yeah, the vendors table and the project progress are not connected. How can you connect them? You have vendor ID. Mhm. I think we can connect these tables on vendor assigned vendor. So assigned vendor will basically record the ID of the vendor who has been assigned a certain work. Okay, let's try and see that. So vendor ID. So this one currently doesn't have values, but we can connect it like that. Okay, after that, I think, yeah, very good. Now we are getting accurate values here. So we need it from highest to lowest. Average cost. So I want this average cost. Let me format it because right now some have very many decimals. Is it data format? We want the average cost. Currency, of course, it's in USD. Yeah, I think two decimal places is okay. Yeah, two decimal places is okay. So we can see here we have company and then the average cost they charge. For instance, we have Kilifi Plumbing Company, which charges $15,000, Turkana Water, like that, Maloti, Kisumu, Limpopo, and all that. So all these are the companies versus the amounts they charge. I think it's Lusaka's structural analysis that charges the least at 534 USD. Okay, that's good. So some teams are way more expensive than others, but we need to compare apples by apples. Teams that will drill wells will naturally charge more than teams installing filters. And we also saw that it's also costs more to improve sources in Sokoto and Kilimani. So that's another factor, right? So we need to consider because from the table here, you can see some really charge a lot of money, for instance, $15,000. But then it also depends with the kind of work they are doing. For instance, we can tell, and we've already seen from the visuals that drilling wells cost the most expensive. And also, basically, they've also mentioned that sources in Sokoto, because Sokoto, I think, has the highest number of wells. And since drilling wells is expensive, that makes maintaining sources in Sokoto very high, right? Um, so create a slicer for date, improvement type, that is aggregated improvement, and rural urban split, and add our map to this page. So you can filter by drill wells and compare the prices of the vendors. So we need to create this slicer for a date, improvement type, and then also rural urban split, then our map. Those are 1, 2, 3, 4 things we need to add. So a slicer for a date. Let's add a slicer. The slicer for date of completion. Okay, you have a slicer for a date there. Then maybe you can put it here. And then you also need what? Improvement type, that is aggregated improvements. So we also need improvement type, aggregated improvements. Yeah, we have that. I think I want it to look a bit better, so we'll have tile like this. And then I want to remove blank. So let's remove blank because it will not give us any value. So you have the filter there for improvements. We also need what? Rural urban splits and a map. So we got a slicer for rural and urban, that is location type. Location type will say blank. This one is also tile like that, yeah. And then this tile, I want it to be is it in the effects? Okay, I can't find that right now. We'll find it some other time. Let's have that one there. And then a map. We also need to add a map. Okay, I think I need to arrange these things well, because now that a map is coming, we need to add a map. A map should have town name. Yeah, that is okay. All right, so that is that. And then what do they want us to do? So now you can filter by drill wells and compare the prices of the vendors. You can filter by drill wells. So drill wells and compare the prices of the vendors. So when you click on drill wells, you can see all these places, almost all over the Maji Ndogo, are supposed to drill wells, except in this town called Zanzibar, the gray one. All these colored ones are supposed to drill wells, right? Now, if you look at this section here, these are all the companies that have signed up for drilling wells, right? So we have Limpopo, Meru, Okavango, and all that. These are the companies that drill wells. And then you can see they charge different prices, right? Let's go through the document and see why they charge different prices. So if you select the most expensive vendor, that is MBS 605, what do you notice? Where are they upgrading sources? MBS 605. So this looks like an ID of a company, I think. Okay. MBS 605, MBS 605. Do I add ID, or I can just search from the table here? I don't want to add other things. Where's the vendors table? Vendors, and then I want to search here. Search MBS. Yeah, MBS 605. Which company is this? So the company name is Meru Bohol Services. Meru Bohol Services. Meru Bohol Services. This is Meru Bohol Services. It charges $13,818. It's among the highest. So I think you can tell from here. Oops. Meru Bohol Services. Yes. So from the map here, this company is working in rural Sokoto. So I think that one can already tell you why they are charging very high, right? So let's also add drill wells. Yes, it's among the highest. These are the companies that are drilling wells. The one that Popo Aqua Ventures, and then followed by Meru Borehole Services. So this company charges 13,818. But look at where they're working. They're working in Sokoto. And remember, it's Sokoto where we said it's more expensive because of the kind of work that is being done. Drilling well is expensive because of the machines involved and also the terrain, it's in rural areas, right? So that actually makes sense. Um, so okay, MBS is drilling wells across the rural parts of Sokoto only. So they are working in the harshest conditions. Can we blame them if it costs more? The four most expensive vendors are either working in Sokoto or Kilimani, right? So it means these companies that are charging the highest, they are either working, at least they are working in Sokoto and Kilimani. Limpopo is also working in, oh, sorry, Limpopo is also working in Sokoto. This is what Okavango Earthworks is working in Kilimani. This is rural Kilimani. So these people are not charging high. They want to charge high. They're charging high because of the kind of work they do and where they are working, right? Um, okay, so that is that. Okay. Um, let's continue. Isn't that beautiful? So the cheapest for drilling teams are in urban areas and outside of Sokoto, where it is easier to access. So which team is actually expensive and who isn't? Okay, let's look at this cheapest team and see where they're working. For instance, this Savuti. Savuti is working in Zuri. Zuri is not in Sokoto, but then we also have Amara. So they're basically, okay, for instance, this Savuti here, they're working in Sokoto, but not in the rural. For instance, this is Majengo. Majengo is a town in Sokoto. So working in towns is not so hard. So as much as these companies, Savuti is working in Sokoto, but they're actually working in town. And then they're working in at least these few towns and one town. This is Hawassa. So Zuri is in Hawassa. Um, this one now is working in Hawassa and Akatsi, and I think I don't know which one was in Akatsi, yes. So they're working majorly in Hawassa and Akatsi. So that's why they're not charging expensive. So these people charge not because they want to exploit, but based on the kind of work they are doing and where they are working, right? So isn't that as people, we often make choices simple for ourselves, but here the data tells us if we fired the expensive teams, it would have been a mistake. Yeah, it would actually be a mistake if you fire, for example, that Meru, whatever, borehole drillers and all that. They don't charge the expensive because they want to, but they charge expensive based on the kind of work they do and where they work. Okay. Okay, so here select all of the teams installing filters, RO and RO plus UV, and we are going to look at two vendors. That is ER893, the best water purification installer in the world of Maji Ndogo, and then Entebbe RO filter. So you need to select these. We select teams installing filters, RO and RO plus UV. So we select, let's uncheck these. No. So teams installing these and also installing these. RO filters and UV and RO filters. So these are the companies that are doing the installation of filters, that is RO and UV and RO filters. And then they're saying We're going to look at two vendors. This is ERI893 and Entebbe Arrow Installer. E ERI ERI. Okay, let me add the ID here. I don't know if I can. Where is the vendors table? Vendor ID. So vendor ID, let's put it here. Oh, ERI893 is Entebbe Arrow Installer. I think they've already told us that. We're going to look at ERI, that is Entebbe Arrow Installer, and then OW290, and also good company called Ogo Waterworks. Those people who are from Burkina Faso can always tell us how they pronounce that thing. So we have Entebbe Arrow Installer, and then we have Ogodago Waterworks here. These two companies are the ones they want us to look at. Mhm. Did you notice that this one is the most expensive filter installer in Maji Ndogo? They're asking almost 50% more than the cheapest team. Okay, they're asking 50% more than the cheapest team. And Tebe installer is asking for 6,000. Cheapest team is asking for 50% more than. Okay. How can Dalila then say they are the best team in Maji Ndogo? How will they work? Why do I say they're the best team? Well, first, the count of completed projects to the table. Add the count of completed projects to the table. Who finished the most projects? I want to laugh again. So count of completed projects. You want to see why they are the best. Number of completed projects. Number of completed projects, and then it's count. Okay, okay. Then if we can remove this one first. Then here we want number completed projects. Okay, why is it not? Not that one. Mhm. This one is a measure number of completed projects. Okay, let me get I understand this. Add the count of completed projects to the table. Why is it giving me one figure? It's because it's a measure. Okay, will that one work? I'm not so sure. Oh, good. Yes, yes. So count of completed projects. What were they saying? Add the count of completed projects to the table. Who finished the most projects? So let's compare Entebbe Arrow Installer to companies who work in a similar environment. So basically, I think what he's trying to say is that as much as this company is charging expensive, but then you also need to check out the number of projects that they have done. It's so many. So basically, we can argue that they are more experienced. They have been in the field for some time. They understand what they are doing. So they might charge expensive as well compared to maybe this Ogodago Waterworks and all that. All right. How? Filter the table to only include the data for rural areas and the Sokoto province. So we filter to include rural areas in Sokoto province. Rural areas and okay, I want to select Sokoto first. Okay, rural areas and Sokoto. This is Sokoto. Rural areas in Sokoto. Then what's next? Look how cheap they are when we compare them to other teams in the right context. Okay, so is in Teg now. Oh, it's very down, and Tebe Arrow installers is down here. So they're actually even not expensive compared to these other companies. Uh, Look at this one. Nyungwe Pipeline is charging 27,000. They are basically working in rural areas of Sokoto. Count of projects is just one. Entebbe is 192. So you can't actually say that Entebbe Arrow installers are expensive because okay, I think these things also depend on how you are trying to filter and what you really want. Okay. If you're looking at companies that are working in rural areas, then you cannot put a blame on one company and say, oh, they are charging expensive. There is obviously a reason as to why a company is charging what they have charged, and our data backs up the reason, right? Okay. Now, but there is a very hard truth in this exercise. Complex real-world data is difficult to work with. Sometimes we may think we have an answer, but often we are wrong. So we keep exploring the data and finding the truth. In the next 5 years of your career, this is the skill that you develop, and one day you will sniff around in the data like I did to find nuggets. But why is this one so cheap? Maybe look at how Entebbe Arrow installers Blue moved through Maji Ndogo completing jobs compared to this one. I think these ones you can check at them later. We are not going to check at them right now. It's basically just a video. It is a video of how those two companies are working. But I think from the video you can see that Entebbe, the way they work is different from uh, this orange one of Go Waters because if they're working in, for instance, Sokoto, they'll concentrate on the work in Sokoto first until they finish. That's when they can move to, I think, another area. Unlike this other one that moves all over a lot. I think here it is. Entebbe Arrow installers stayed in one place, picking up new projects near them, keeping their travel costs low, while Agudago Waterworks is moving from town to town between rural areas, traveling a lot between the projects. Perhaps they are not considering that less travel means they can start new projects quicker. Okay, so that is the reason why you'd find Entebbe Arrow installers being a bit cheaper. When they're working in an area, they exhaust the work in that area before they actually move to another far area. Entebbe Arrow filters made the most out of all the purification teams, not because they charged a lot, but because their choice means they get more projects done. So what can we do? We'll get our designers to animate that. Okay, so this is 3rd December 2027. So basically it means I think a lot of work has been done here. And then this is the final data set that they have provided there. So, oh, okay. I think we're not going to do this right now. But basically, if you want to, just the way we've done with this one, basically, we first started by data that spans a period of 1 year. That is from December 31st, 2022 to January 1st, 2023, right? We did an analysis. We saw everything that was happening. And then after few improvements have been made 2 years down the line, we are also able to see all of that. And then now, here they are providing us with data for 2027. So that is basically work that has been done now. This now will span on 5 years. That is from 2022 to 2027. So you'll also be able to see that, to load that and then analyze and probably maybe see um, uh, key changes and what has happened, right? If you load that data set, I believe you'll be able to see maybe the percentage of population with basic access has probably increased. People who have been helped have increased. How is the budget affected? Percentage of project that has been completed and all that. I don't know if we can do it. Let me see. Let me try download the data. Okay, why is it opening instead of downloading? I should have downloaded this one early.
We can only view it.
Okay, I think maybe people can download this and then you download it and then you just change the source. So from wherever you downloaded this one, I mean, if you download this one, wherever you will put it, if you put it in the pictures folder or downloads or documents, you will just go to your Power BI and then you change the data source. Once you change the data source, you'll be able to now see the change in the in this slicer, the date slicer, right? So I believe now the end date will go up to that December 2027, and then once you drag the this slicer, then you will see the changes taking effect on these visuals like that. Okay, I think that is that for today. I would wish to stop there unless somebody is having a question.
Lord, please, when will the video be available?
Um, Tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions, guys?